Ryote dori. The tori pulls his arms back to break the uke's balance to the front. The uke attempts to restrain the tori's wrists. The tori pulls his arms back to break the uke's balance forward and kicks him in the groin with the ball of his right foot. The tori then turns and steps to the left and applies ude hishigi wakigatame. When applying atemi with the ball of your foot, relax the muscles from the knee down and kick sharply. When applying the lock, the tori pulls the uke out to the left and lowers his hips. The uke walks behind the tori from the right side and stands to the tori's left to begin sodedori. The uke forces the tori to walk forward. On the third step, the tori steps forward to his right, kicks the uke in the right knee with his left foot and throws the uke with osotogari. The uke grabs the middle of the tori's sleeve with his left hand, then takes it above the elbow with his right hand, twisting and pushing the arm to force the tori forward. On the third step, the tori steps forward to his right and kicks the uke in the right knee with the outer side of his left foot. He immediately places his foot down near the outer side of the uke's right foot, pivots and throws the uke with an osotogari. Tsukake. The two stand 1.8 meters apart. The uke aims for the uto between the tori's eyes. The tori evades the blow and applies hadakajime. The uke raises his left fist to eye level, holds his right fist in front of his solar plexus, and steps forward with his left foot. He lunges forward with his right foot and aims for the tori's uto, but the tori evades the punch and applies hadakajime. To apply the choke, the tori puts his right arm around the uke's throat and clasps his hands, pulling the uke back to break his balance. The uke tries to break the choke by gripping the tori's right elbow. After failing to deliver the punch, the uke tries to straighten up. The tori uses the momentum to slide his right hand up the uke's right arm and apply hadakajime. Tsukiage. The tori evades the uke's uppercut by leaning backward. He then takes the uke's wrist with both hands and pulls it upward, pivoting to the right. He pulls the arm to the upper right and applies ude hishigi wakigatame. When evading the uppercut, it's important that the tori deflect the right arm and catch it rather than trying to stop it. Suriage. The tori evades the uke's blow at his forehead, punches him in the solar plexus and throws him with ukigoshi. The uke aims at the tori's forehead with his right palm, fingers straight and together. The tori evades the blow, punches the solar plexus, then throws the uke with ukigoshi. The Kime no Kata include atemi waza, which are not used in randori. Be sure to understand the key locations correctly and apply the atemi sharply. To execute ukigoshi, lower your hips a little and twist your body, pivoting on your lower left hip. When applying atemi with the fist, the back of the hand should be facing down. Yokouchi. The tori evades the uke's attempt to punch him in the temple and steps behind him to apply okuri erijime. The uke aims for the tori's left temple with the side of his fist. The tori evades the blow. He pushes the uke's chest with his right hand and grabs his left lapel. The tori then grabs the top of the uke's right lapel and applies okuri erijime. While applying the choke, The tori presses his forehead against the back of the uke's head. The uke attempts to defend himself by grabbing the tori's left elbow with both hands. Note how the tori on the left uses his feet. Keage. The uke tries to kick the tori with the ball of his right foot. The tori twists his body to evade the kick, pulls the leg to his left and kicks the uke in the groin. The tori catches the uke's right foot from below, immediately twists his hips to the left and kicks the uke. After completing keage, the uke passes the tori's right-hand side, turns and stands 90 centimeters behind him. Ushirodori. The uke grabs the tori from behind. The tori throws him with ippon seoi nage and strikes his uto with the side of his hand. After they both take a step forward with their left foot, the uke grabs the tori around his arms and the tori immediately raises his arms to the side. He takes the uke's upper arm to apply ippon seoi nage and strikes the uke's uto with the side of his hand. The main point is for the tori to raise his arms and seize the uke's upper arm and apply the throw as soon as the uke grabs him. After facing each other, the uke goes to get the dagger. He sits in seiza and places the dagger blade up inside his jacket. He then stands and returns to face the tori. Tsukomi. The tori turns, punches and follows with an arm lock. The uke grips the scabbard from outside his jacket, draws the dagger blade up and shouts as he attempts to stab the tori's solar plexus. The tori turns outward and deflects the strike, following with a punch between the uke's eyes. Immediately taking the uke's right wrist, the tori grabs high on his right lapel and steps right, left, right towards the uke's upper right-hand corner to apply ude hishigi haragatame. The uke puts the dagger back in its sheath inside his jacket and faces the tori at a distance of 90 centimeters. The uke unsheaths the dagger blade up and sticks it in his belt on his left side. The dagger is used as a substitute for a short sword. Now, kirikomi. The tori deflects the uke's strike and locks his arm. The uke frees the dagger with his left hand, steps forward with his right foot, and attempts to slash the top of the tori's head. The tori deflects the attack, catches the uke's wrist, and traps the arm under his left armpit to apply ude hishigi wakigatame. The main point of this technique is for the tori to deflect the strike rather than trying to block it, and grab the wrist to apply the lock. The uke returns to his original position and faces the tori. He then puts the short sword or dagger back into its scabbard at his left side. and places it inside his jacket as a dagger. He then turns and walks to where the sword is and sits. He lays the dagger down. He picks up the sword and sticks it in his belt on the left side. He then returns to stand in front of the tori. Nukigake. The tori restrains the uke the moment he attempts to draw his sword and applies kata hajime. The moment the uke attempts to draw his sword, the tori steps in front of the uke's right foot with his right foot and controls the uke's wrist. The tori then steps to the uke's rear and reaches around his neck to grab his right lapel. He reaches past the uke's armpit and places his right hand on the back of the uke's neck to restrain him. The tori steps back with his left foot and applies kata hajime. Notice the movement of the tori's feet. The tori steps in front of the uke's right foot with his right foot and controls the uke's right hand. He then immediately steps to the uke's rear with his right foot and applies the choke. Kirioroshi. The uke holds the sword in the seigan position at a distance of 2.7 meters and advances a step, forcing the tori to step back. The uke raises the sword above his head in the jodan position and tries to slash the top of the tori's head. The tori dodges the strike by turning outward and grips the uke's wrist from above. He then pulls the wrist towards his right hip and reaches around the uke's neck to grab high on his right lapel, locking the arm with ude hishigi haragatame. The uke brings the sword down to the gedan position and steps back to return to his original position. After bringing the sword up to the seigan position, he returns it to its sheath and steps back with his right foot to assume shizen hontai. He turns and goes to where the dagger is and sits in seiza. He removes the sword from his hip and returns it to its original position on the mat. He then picks up the sword and dagger with his right hand and stands. Meanwhile, the tori returns to the position in which he assumed shizen hontai. From shizen hontai, they take a step back together, sit, and bow to each other. They then stand and turn towards the front to bow and exit. The Kime no Kata were established to help master the most effective techniques for serious competition. Regular practice is essential in order to be able to move quickly and accurately to control the opponent. The Kime no Kata also include a number of atemiwaza, which are not used in randori. It is important to understand the key locations and apply the atemi sharply. In studying the kata, start out by practicing slowly and accurately and gradually build up speed so that the techniques for attack and defense can be carried out with force and speed.